Rage in the streets of the capital in what might be a new phase in an uprising against Lebanon's leadership that is now in its fourth month. Fierce confrontations between anti-riot police and anti-establishment protesters turned downtown Beirut into a war zone. This is the epicenter of a protest movement that until a few days ago was relatively peaceful. Running battles began when demonstrators who want the political class they blame for mismanagement and corruption to leave power tried to storm Parliament building. Security forces responded with tear gas.
I feel like the message is for protesters to back off and that they can't win. And I think that the message of everybody staying here is that the more police violence they face, the more revolutionary violence they will face in return.
Lebanon's economy has been in turmoil for months. A proposal to tax WhatsApp calls, which should be a free service, triggered the protests in mid-October. Unemployment was rising, and the Lebanese local currency, the lira, was losing value.
We are in an economical crisis. Everybody's going to get hungry. Everybody's going to eat their leaders soon enough. I don't have to convince anybody about what's happening today. It's clear what's happening. Who can get a hold of their money in the banks?
We lost everything, job, family, everything. This is a country with 5,000 years of history. It is an amazing country. They took everything. We have nothing left. This is why our only option is to go down on the street and ask if it's with violence, we have to use violence. We are fighting a 40-year corrupted government.
There is anger at banks, which imposed caps on withdrawals. There is a shortage of dollars. Anti-riot police have been using excessive amounts of tear gas to disperse the crowd, but anti-establishment protesters are defiant. The wounded were in the dozens. Both protesters and security forces were taken to hospitals. There is a political vacuum. Many Lebanese are growing impatient with politicians who are refusing to form an independent government free of the influence of political parties. Instead, they are bickering among themselves for ministerial posts in the next cabinet.
This new government of alleged technocrats was really just a smokescreen for the old ruling oligarchic elite. So the protesters were really upset.
This is the third night of violence since Tuesday, when activists said they plan to revive the momentum of the protest movement after a brief lull. They announced what they called a week of rage. They seem to be living up to that promise. The United Nations has already described events in Lebanon as dangerous chaos. It is what comes next that many fear. Zeina, Khodr, Aljazeera, Beirut.
Imad Harb is Director of Research at the Arab Center in Washington, D.C. He says the ruling elite just isn't doing enough to answer the people's demands.
The problem is the ruling class is not responding to what people on the street want. All they're doing is just postponing and postponing and postponing the formation of a new government, even though the protesters have given the new Prime Minister designate Hassan Diab a whole month so far to form the so-called government. But apparently he's not being allowed, even by the people who really nominated him to do that job. He's not being allowed to form that government. So the economy is really in a very bad shape. Unemployment, the exchange rate of the local currency, everything has collapsed, and things are not going well. I mean, what's happening since Tuesday has been expected. I mean, people cannot take it anymore. We just entered the fourth month, and things cannot go on like this at all.